Okay, good morning. We should be rolling now. This is the first um, YouTube broadcast of the year. Welcome back. We are in the midst of just an awesome rally. So before we get started, my name is Simon. I'm with ToughTrader.com and Trade and Perform Coaching. This is important legal notice. This is for educational purposes only. Past performance is not indicative of future results. You can lose a lot of money trading futures. Make sure you have a trade plan, you know what you're doing, and that you're staying off and you're staying consistent. Most important thing I can say, just don't keep blowing up your account. Don't keep drawing down. Stop trading. Markets change over time, and you should be able to adjust to those markets over time. If your edge isn't working right now, paper trade till it is. That's or go get help in finding out what you can use in any given particular market. So we're gapping up again. ES is, let's just kind of jump in. Everything looks pretty solid. ES 27.19 and a quarter, right? So we just, every dip is getting bought. And the first thing I said to myself when I came in this morning is I said, it is okay not to trade today if I don't get it set up, right? I don't really want to short, right? I'll take a short scalp here and there if it sets up, but I don't want to chase up. It's the third gap up in a row, right, of the year. I don't want to chase up. I know that we should roll over, but I don't want to get crushed on the way to getting rollover. How many people over the last 2 days said, well, it certainly can't keep going, and are finding themselves just with loss after loss to start the year? Certainly not where I want to be, right? And so this is where this is important, right? So I want to say this is where you step back and you go, hey, I know that I will have a good year underneath my belt if I follow my process. If you allow the market to dictate, which I did yesterday afternoon, I got agitated. I took the tiniest little short. And so it's funny, someone asked me in the room when I was coaching them in a one-on-one session, well, do you take they asked me a good question. They said, why don't you want to take little trades when the setups are there? And I'll tell you why. I took a small trade that would have absolutely no impact on my year, day, or month at all. That's how small it was. But it took me 2 hours to get unagitated from the fact that the trade rolled against me. I misexecuted the NQ portion of the trade. It would have been profitable, number one. Number two, the trade rolled against me. I did not hold it into the close. It went to set one more new high before it rolled down, and I stopped the trade out. Again, it was so tiny. It was literally 2 contracts. That's how tiny it was. But my agitation was equivalent to as if I'd been trading 50 or 100 contracts. I mean, that's how agitated I was with the position. So to go back, so I gave myself a C for yesterday's performance, not because of what I did in the morning, which was fantastic. I got an A+ in the morning, but I got a D in the afternoon. And the D was I put myself at emotional and mental risk for almost no upside P&L relative to the account size, right? And almost no reward, but the agitation was the same. So my goal today is to only take trades where I feel the size is appropriate and the reward is appropriate relative to what I'm wanting to take. What I went through is I wrote down a list of why I am mad at the market for taking off without me, and I came to a peace with it, right? So yes, I would have liked to have been long the last 2 days, right? I'd like to be long right now if I could have found good position, but I couldn't, right? And that brought me back to my center, which is what are my core principles. My core principles are I fade markets that have a potential for rolling lower significantly, and I fade markets that have potential to roll back up at significant support resistance levels and when key technical patterns play out, right? Whether those are through delta or volume. And what that does is it brings me back to a center, because when we're doing, and I know this because I've coached enough guys where I know it comes to everybody, right? Sometimes you feel like the whole world's making money and you're not making money. The key is to realize all that matters at the end of the day, the whole world's not going to give you money. Your job is to take money when it's appropriate and when it's available to you, and to protect your capital with your emotional and financial capital whenever it's available to you. I can't stress that enough to my guys that I coach one-on-one, right? And I heard this same thing from multiple people yesterday, both from the guys I work with at the hedge fund, where they said we're so pissed okay? Because the part that I consult to them on is on the day trading portion of the portfolio, and they're like, it so sucks. What they said last night, it so sucks that we were on the 4th day of the year and we are underperforming the market significantly already, right? Because that's their benchmark, is what the S&P 500 does. Now, we all know that they'll catch up, but they're like, it sucks to be behind the 8 ball already at the beginning of the year. Number 2 point, spoke to another trader who yesterday said, I'm not taking any trades because I'm so agitated that I couldn't find a way to get long. He's on vacation, that I'm just not willing to entertain any trade at this point until I see the market balancing back forth 2 ways. Because he said, what I'm afraid of is subconsciously I will start to revenge trade this market. So the whole point behind that is get recentered. There will be opportunities, right? A market that goes parabolic and straight up is pretty hard to trade for most day traders. And we've got to be centered and be looking for where our opportunities are going to come. And those are most likely going to be on rotations down, right? We are looking for what the characteristics are where we've trapped shorts and we're going to get a pushback to the upside. It's unlikely that the market just turns and melts all the way back down. Possible, but not probable. So let's jump into it. And I hope that helps you guys. So I know it did help me, and I know that I need that reminder consistently. Okay, Globex low came in at 2708.50. Pop that in. That made just underneath the white zone. A little shakeout. And I'm going to go back and look at why they came back with 0850. I'm going to do that. They came into the W right here is what they did. So the volume point of control. So I always like to go back and look. So let's look at that really quick. So we'll look at ES and then we'll go to NQ. So a couple of things. First of all, I know that the market isn't in trouble. At the earliest sign is if we get underneath and hold underneath 2714. Secondly, I have to get past Globex low, and I have to get past the point of control and the TPO point of control and the volume point of control. So that's a checklist you have built in right away. Is the market going to go down? We now have 4 key marks for figuring that out, right? And I'm going to mark those off so everyone can see them, and you can put it in your notes. First key is we have to get back underneath Wednesday's high. Number 1, that's a horrible color. Let's go fix that. We have to get underneath Wednesday's high. We don't get underneath Wednesday's high, there's no down. Number 2, we have to get underneath value area high. We all know if we consolidate above value area high and have an inability to punch back in, the likely result of that is a push back up. There's no rule that says the market can't go up 3 days in a row. Okay. Next, we have to get past the volume points of control and the TPO points of control. Those are located right in here. Next, we have to get underneath Globex low, right? And finally, we have to get underneath value area low. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 checkpoints that you can use to go, okay, now we actually have the possibility of rolling back and filling in some of the area below. Give me 1 second, guys. Okay, we're all okay. Those are your 5 checkpoints that you can use both in, and we'll do the same thing on ES and NQ, right? To understand that what the market looks like. I read a very interesting opinion that actually stated that instead of this being a blow off top, that this could be the beginning of a huge upside rally. Hold on a second here. I did not, and it's fair to ask. So Ron asked a good question. We can go look at it, right? In my short. So Ron asked a fair question because Ron, I kind of addressed that I screwed up yesterday afternoon already, but I'll go back through it. So if we look at yesterday, right, what did we have to see? Number 1, we had to get below Friday's. We had to get below, this is yesterday's, pardon me. Is that correct? Okay. So yesterday, we never even came close to getting underneath prior day's high. We never got underneath. If we come back and look at yesterday, just going through the steps, right? There's IB high right there. We never got underneath IB high. We clearly didn't get underneath the point of control. We clearly didn't get underneath Globex low, and we clearly didn't get underneath Globex high from yesterday, right? So there was no reason to think that the market was I was simply forcing my hand here, Ron. and that's all there was to it. Luckily, it was very, very small, and I already addressed that. I spent a lot of emotional energy for almost no upside, and corrected that. I gave myself an A+ for the morning. This is where I was short in the morning, I believe. I gave it an hour, didn't work out, covered it flat. Nothing wrong with that. I got impatient in the afternoon. And then the last piece was, so remember, when we're pushing up from yesterday, right? I didn't do a trade review last night, so I'll cover it. You're getting swing lows, right? What do you need to make the market go lower? You have to get underneath your last swing low. Notice this is the last push back, and it did not make it past the prior swing low. Okay, so I've got a checklist now going through. Now I've got a 6th point. Can we make it underneath the last swing low, either from Globex session or from or during the RTH session? Either one, it doesn't matter, because at this point we're just setting higher highs and higher lows. So can I get underneath my last swing? Right now, my last swing is going to, that's NQ, but ES is the same story here. I apologize. I'll switch it over. Here's ES from yesterday. Okay, so on ES, same story. I never get underneath my last swing low. So that's a 7th marker you can add, that if you're just itching to short this or you're looking for the beginning of a pullback, you'll get underneath the last swing low. So Ron, hopefully I addressed that. I should have gone through those checkpoints. I will go through those checkpoints today. If you see me trading and I'm taking a trade, everyone has the right to question why I'm taking it. There's one last checkpoint you should add to that. Are we below VWAP? Both 24-hour and RTH, we have not traded below VWAP. Okay, so that'll be the first clue that we even have a chance of rolling lower. All those things have to happen. Give me 1 second. QH18. Okay, so let's go to the next point right over here. Let's go back and finish this off. So additionally, when we come and look at the TPO for ES, I will have that up on the screen right now. It's from the other computer. Let's go pull ES. There we go. All lines. Yes. Okay. So next, notice. So let's just do some. My whole goal this morning is to slow my clients, my coaching clients in particular, but everyone in the room, down from being frustrated, right? So the first thing that we know is we've been through markets that have had significant rallies. They tend to come back, consolidate, and even if we don't roll back down, we tend to go into consolidation to build energy. Nothing's changed about the way an actual auction process works in the market, right? Really, really important to remember. Nothing has changed. There's 2 ways to work off an overbought condition. You can work off an overbought condition by either correcting in price or correcting over time, where we consolidate the price and then push down, right? So, consolidate in time, right? And then continue higher. So what do we do here? We pushed up, right? Here, I'll pull this in a little bit more. There you go. We pushed up, we rallied, we consolidated in time. Notice that even on a larger time frame, we never made it underneath the last, if you could call this a swing low, we never made it underneath the last consolidation, right? We pushed down, here's our last consolidation. Push down, that's our last swing low. And so you can start even looking on a day time frame. When are we going to be bearish? Well, right now, this right here is your key marker. That is your key marker. Next, pushing out. We're just going to put all our tools together, guys. That's all we're doing. This is all pretty mechanical, right? This is all, you don't have to get anxious about when's the market going to roll lower or what's it going to look like. You'll have some clues. So number one, we have to get past our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is the value area, either from a TPO or a volume profile. So I'm going to mark off everything that's in here. Value area high, value area low, volume point of control, 27.12 and a quarter. Okay. TPO point of control, 27.10, 3/4. Of all of this, and then we had the settle price right here, which was just underneath the TPO point of control. Okay. So in all of this, the most critical point to get underneath is this area right here, which is exactly where the white zone is. We have to get underneath that. That's where the most volume was done. But even if we get past that, right, the next challenge is going to be to get underneath this value area low. If we get underneath this value area low, we have one little hitch in the profile that needs to be repaired. That sits right here, right? And then the question is, when we get here, is can we get back above and hold back above 2705? That becomes the question. If we fail to get above 2705 or push back against 2705, the logical target is right here, 2692 to 2690. Now, what's likely or possible, right? What's likely or possible for today is the next question. I'm going to do this with NQ in just a second, and then we're going to roll on. So now I have very clear markers, right? I know that from my lessons from yesterday that unless I am masochistic or very skilled at shorting, that I do not want to fade this open because I have no idea when the buy pressure is going to shut off. If today's the blow off top, that's good. I want it to come back into this area because I know I have friends in this area that'll help me support my trades, even if they're just scalps. It'll help support my trades and give me location. Okay, so now I have a layout, a lay of the land, and I understand, since I have no resistance above, we've never traded up here before, right? And I know that we have the capability intraday of running from 2696 to 2716. That is 20 points. So if I take intraday from wherever I open, I know the capability right now is we're trading at 2719, and I know we can run 20 points intraday. I'm going to have to at least come up and mark up 2740 as a potential upside target, right? So I don't want to sit there and go, if you tell your brain there's no way it can keep going up, no way it can keep going up, well, guess what? We've proven we can go up 20 points intraday, and it can hit to 2740, and let's just give it 30 points. 2740 to 2750, that would be an extreme for today. I'm going to go put on where R1 and R2, et cetera, in just a couple of minutes. But I know that's the range we had yesterday. I know it's capable of being duplicated. The same token from 2719, 20 down, puts me at 2700. Okay, so think about 2700. What's the problem with 2700? We're in single prints. Okay, it's hard to just take a trade in a single print neighborhood. So you want to write this in your notes. You want to see a reversal pattern. You just don't want to catch that in the falling thin air because there's no volume to defend and you're underneath support, right? You want to see a reversal pattern take place and take the backside test into that reversal pattern, okay? We'll obviously call that out in the room in real time. We'll see where the biggest sellers are. We'll want a backside test against the last best seller for a push back up, right? Next, if you're going to catch a knife, right, I want to catch it right into this 2690. The problem with that is that's a 30-point stretch, but given the run that we've had, it's actually possible to get a 30-point stretch, right? So I know down here, I'm going to be very keenly aware in this area in general that I want to find a way to get long, even if it means I have to go half size double stop to make sure I get the trade. And my logical target, if I get down here, is to do a backside test back into value area low. So my three targets from this area will be the mid, value area low, followed by 2712, if I can make all three of those work, right? Just want to have my cap on the right way to make sure I am resetting myself. I don't want to get bearish down here. I don't want to get bullish up here, but I also don't want to get bearish up here just due to the fact that I have no resistance. Eventually we'll get resistance, we'll get underneath it, and we'll have a way to trade. We've been through this before, right? So now let's go. And so I think does anyone have a question on what I'm looking for on ES, right? I'm just looking for the markers, and I'm not going to stand in the way of a bull market running straight up. I'm probably burning the first hour of the day. And then once I see that either we get underneath VWAP, I get underneath my last best seller. As y'all know, I am willing to short against my last best seller with the understanding that I don't have any real daily resistance put in place yet, right? Everyone gets that? Okay, I don't see any questions flying up on my Skype for my coaching clients. Daniel, I can't, that's so much information. I can't look at it right now. I'm going to have to go back and look at it once I get a chance for things to settle. Okay, so let's go and look over at NQ really quick. By the way, yesterday, I just want to make sure everyone's aware. The Russell chart is still very good. I know I'm not actively monitoring during the day. That was a monster trade from 1548 to 1556. That is just a monster upside trade. I only know one person, I think, that told me they caught it, and that was Randy. Randy, nice job. He took it right at 1548.60, I think. And I don't know how much you carried on that, but that was a beautiful trade. So let's go over to, so we have our layout on ES. Let's insert tick. By the way, we'll want to look at our market internals right out of the gate to see if they support a push up or if it supports falling back in, right? That's going to be on another weapon that we'll be able to have to use. So same checklist. First of all, here's yesterday's VPOC, right? You probably should actually mark that off as the closing volume point of control. I'll make that military green and label it. VWAP from yesterday. A lot of guys will monitor that, come back in at that particular area. We have to get below the white zone. Globex low on NQ came in at 65.80. Just below the white zone. That made sense. And Globex high, I think we're nailing it right now. Oh, we're just off. 66.1750. Good. I'm glad we're a little bit off. I don't have to make any last minute adjustments. Okay, so go through your checklist. You should have this written down, right? Number one, for us to roll down, we have to get underneath Wednesday's high. We have to get underneath the volume point of control and the TPO point of control and value area high. All of those are very important. We had a poor high yesterday. We clearly have busted through it already, right? Lastly, we have to get underneath today's VWAP, and it would be helpful if we got underneath closing VWAP, right? And if we look at what the potential stretch is, you got to remember we're trading 66.09. 100 down from 66.09 puts us into 65.09, and this is a massive white zone. It's a gap fill to the left, right? And there's a naked TPO point of control, and there's a naked volume point of control in this area. I want, if we can manage to get 100 down, I want to find a way to get a trade out of this area. I'm looking for guys in our room in our primary setup. I want to get above my best last seller, and I want to get a backside test, stop at the swing low for a push back up if we get into this area. What's the downside if we get into this area? People are going to be concerned because we'll be underneath yesterday's rally point. The other point is from yesterday, right? Where's this market in trouble? So a couple of things. The mid from yesterday, right, plus today, we'll want to mark those down. I put that in the notes last night. Right now, that's the mid. It's going to be a little bit higher. If we look at the 24-hour, actually, that doesn't even work. If we look at, so if we come in and we go to Friday's close, all the way down here. By the way, the market's just about to open. I'll give you the data. Let's see, December swing low. Where was Friday's close? There we go. Right from that white zone, Friday low. Got it here. I'll skip that over. Now known as the panic close of 2017. Okay. So from a 24-hour basis, my 50-60 retrace, the 50 retrace lands me right in that white zone. So I'm going to highlight that so I know where it is. I'm going to have to adjust it, right? But now this, right, becomes prime territory, 65.14 to 64.85, 64.75. I'd want to find a way to be long in that area. That's my plan if we get down there, right? By the way, just to give you all a quick picture on market internals so that we can jump over there really quick. Market internals out of the gate. Advancers, 1828. We want to see that it maintains above. If it gets below 1,500 advancers, there's an issue. The advanced decline ratio is at 3. That is bullish, right? Now, we can fall apart from a bullish gap, but that is bullish. Make zero mistake about the market's ability to continue to rally here. It is significant. Give me just 1 second, guys. Forgot to get one trading dome up. Get this over to another screen. Okay. So, so internal support a continued push to the upside, right? There's been no indication the market wants to roll lower, and we know where those clues are, right? So again, the market's still supporting pretty bullish push to pretty bullish push to the upside, right? We're up 8.25, and it can continue going hypothetically as long as it wants to, right? So just let it do what it's got. I don't get why we're pushing straight up, but the fact is it's pushing straight up, right? What was I going to say? And I want to wrap the conversation up so that everyone is clear on what I am trying to communicate, right? If we slow down, we wait for rotations down, look for trap sellers. That's really, really key. I'm looking for trap sellers, right? And I'm looking for a rotation lower so that the I'm looking for trap sellers so that we can catch the push back to the down to the upside, right? So I'm gonna have to wait for them to push it in since I have no ability to come in and just fight these guys from the highs, right? I do think we should push back down and get exhausted and push lower. And I do think we're trapping late buyers and all that stuff, right? I don't think a market just burns straight up, but I don't have the capital ability with the leverage that I trade to keep fighting these guys all the way up. And clearly, they're showing no interest. No one's showing any interest in selling the market, right? So I just got to accept that, hey, these guys are in control right now. I accept that and I roll on to my next trade. That's how I do it. So, does anyone have any questions about that? I'm looking to get underneath my last bestseller. That's what I'm looking to do. Or above my last bestseller and push back up. I'm probably avoiding the short until I get some indication that we have an ability to actually go down. Once I see that ability to actually go down, then I'll actually get excited about shorting. That's it for right now, guys. I don't want to get burnt up. So let's go and see how the market unfolds. I know where my 50-60 retraces are. I know where my key levels are. Let me go set up my delta charts to make sure they're working properly. Funny enough, ES is the one with the strength this morning. And obviously tick is positive 850. That's good sign. Somewhere we blow off. I just have no idea where that comes from. Well, I have no issue with that assessment, but even good markets don't go literally straight up, right? I mean, I traded through 99, it didn't go straight up. No market just goes vertical, right? Like, so really the question, I would guess the market's going higher as well, right? The question is it going higher from right here, right? Because that's all we care about from a day trading perspective is, are we going higher from right at this point, right? And my argument would be probably not. And if we are, it's going to go without me, right? If we literally go up every single day, well, then I lose. That's how that's going to work because I won't chase. I won't chase for no reason, right? So the question is, if you're a trader, do you just buy? Right now, the only strategy that's working is you buy every morning. Yeah, I agree. I think we do exhaust today, Daniel. The question is, where do we exhaust from? I mean, exhaustion, ES can be up 20, 30, 40 points before we are actually exhausted, right? None of us know that. So what do you want to do to protect yourself? because everyone's panicking into the market right now. I mean, when there's no sellers, it's a market. It's not a Ethereum, right? So I'm not taking any trades in the first hour. I need some kind of rotation down to let me into the trade. That's all there is to it. I need a rotation down to let me into the trade. If I don't get that rotation down, I've got no trade. Will, can you put that in context how you're thinking? Like, are you saying that you need to buy it right here? Yeah, that's true. Will's just pointing out that it goes up, limit up for days at a time, but this is a commodity of 500 stocks, right? So I don't allow myself to think like that, Will, because it makes me want to buy positions at highs. So it's got my trade plan forces me to buy. My trade plan forces me to find sellers. I want to be clear. My trade plan requires me to find sellers and find where they're trapped, right? So if it's a momentum market and it just keeps going up, right, with no end in sight, okay, then I don't get a trade. And I'm totally fine with that, right? My job isn't to be the trader for of cool. Like I said, I'm just not NQ's below its first 5 minute low, by the way. The first 5 minute low. So heads up there, right? So markets do come in. Don't I would not buy the hype on the panic of, oh my gosh, it's never coming back and there's no way for me to, yeah, I wouldn't believe that for a second. That's my 2 cents on that. So Russell's down. ES is actually the only one that's performing relatively well so far. So heads up. Yeah, I mean, we're just extended. We should come back in a little bit. So may not on ES. ES is showing strength. What they're doing is rotating out of. They're rotating out of. Um, they're rotating out of NQ and into ES is clearly what's happening. So either way, whatever it does, I need. It's been 3 days up. I'm pretty cool waiting. So if this is the one time it goes vertical on me and never comes back, I traded through 99. That's about as vertical a market as you could get, and there were still down days where you could find trading opportunities. So right now, people who had that mentality of it's going to go straight up without me are just getting smoked on NQ. So I find that very interesting. You can see the clear rotation out of NQ into ES. That's pretty impressive. There's no, yeah. Anyways, guys, there's no setup for me here, just patience. And now the markets aren't aligning with one another, right? We're still at positive tick. Advancers still look pretty good. Normally, I'd be jumping all over the short on ES in this particular case, but not here. Let's switch over to my regular charts. Yeah, I know, Daniel. I'm not trading the first hour, guys. I already know I'm not. So if y'all are wondering why I am or I am not doing something in a particular fashion, I just I'm not trading the first hour. I'll let it settle out. Well, you have a good point about the indices. Like oil can do that day after day, and I certainly trade it that way when that occurs. But I don't believe that for indices for a second. I've just traded for. Now I could be wrong. Maybe my 20 years are going to backfire against me this time, right? But I'm pretty sure I'm right on that. I can wait these guys out. It's been an incredible move to start the year. So doors get very narrow when you trap people on top. Coming into the white zone again, I am skipping the first hour, guys. I'm just going to let them settle it out, and then I'll see where the trades are going to come. My expectation is that shortly after the first hour, I will have a trading opportunity. By the way, for the first time in many days, NQ's underneath the VWAP. First test there, right? So we're under VWAP, and that's a good sign. That's not a bad thing. Wow, NQ is just socking it to people. That's beautiful. Finally. ES dipping its head below VWAP. Russell, clear rotation out. Very cool, Daniel. Thank you. But you really didn't need an oscillator to figure out we were extended. The question is, how badly extended are we? And even then, look, we're just doing that rotation dance. Look at ES. Actually looks all right. And at the same time, ES is only 2 points off the high, 1 point off the high. About to get a VPOC shift, I think, up. I had one chart here I wanted. All the volume came in on that. Here, I'll show y'all. All the volume on that move came in at the high. Cool, Will. If you give me an edge on how to execute my entry on that, I'll take that all day long. But we've already had the move. I mean, there's nothing anyone can do to convince me that I need to chase up here. Right into the white zone. See how we're getting the responsive buyers? That makes sense, right? In a bull market. Right. So, Will, this is a great point. If I was going to get long, it would have been out of the white zone. I'm just burning the first hour. So, anyways, I don't want to debate the point. I know where I need to get long, which is I need to see some sellers come in. I've got to get above those sellers and backside test into them. I'm going to stay on my process. Why? Because that has paid the bill for 20 years. I think I'll continue to pay the bills. would be the best thing for me. They're trying to hold VWAP on ES. Tick is almost to 0. Clearly, these are not open drive. These are open drive lower scenarios, right? So the first thing you want to see, right, go right to your test. Can we get back above the 50-60 retrace? The markets are not in alignment, right? Clearly, ES and NQ are not on the same page, right? This is clearly dump the NQ, buy the ES is what's going on here, right? Secondly, market internals are still at positive 1664. Okay. And the reason I did not trade this morning, I'm not chasing up, is because I guarantee you there's people who are just going, oh my gosh, I can't believe how bad I'm getting smoked right out of the gate. That's not my game plan. So that's 25 points of pain if you assume we were going to have another open drive higher. So quite happy to just wait and let it settle itself out. I have the volume point of control at roughly 27.21 on ES right now. And again, now being underneath that 5-minute, first-minute low, that's another key marker there, right? Coming into gap fill over here. Again, I'm completely burning this first hour. So whatever it's going to do, it's going to do without me, because I'm just more determined to protect my capital first few days of the year than get caught up in some kind of mania. If there is a new mania and there's a new regime, all regimes, right, usually it's an increase in volatility, not an increase in, not a change in the way the market behaves, right? So the ranges, my guess is the ranges will go wider than what we're used to, as opposed to the pattern changing. We still should get pushes down in the morning. Usually our reversal points will come between London close and New York lunch. Somewhere in there, we usually will find responsive sellers or responsive buyers, whatever the case may be. I'm nowhere close to a setup from a 5-minute perspective here. So all of this I can wait on pretty comfortably. 1 second, I'm missing a chart. And at this point, I would have a short on a backside test of that first 5-minute low at 66.01 against the high of the day, which would be all the way up to 66.15. Again, I'm just letting things settle out past the first hour, and then I'll come and pick off my points. And it is possible that this is your buying opportunity for the long, right? Come right out of the white zone, pushed up. There's nothing that says we cannot go up today. Absolutely nothing. Okay. This could simply be a shakeout from the first day and everyone jumps in and runs. So I know as a trader, my first and primary job is to get comfortable with how I'm executing my trades. And I'm just saying I'm uncomfortable with the way the market is, where the market is right now. And I have zero intention of going negative on the year. And the best way for me to do that is to skip the first hour right now. Right. So I'm sure there's a bunch of people trying to short ES that are going, why isn't it going down with NQ? Right. I'm sure there's a bunch of people long NQ trying to figure out why it, how can we go down? How's that possible? So I'm going to get out of while everyone's emotional. I'm going to get out of it and wait till they make a mistake. Somewhere they will make a mistake. Looks like ES wants up. By the way, you'll notice we have not closed below our last best buyer on ES. and that the markets are not in alignment, they're just rotating out of one and into the other for whatever reason they're doing it, fine by me. Right now on NQ it is. Daniel asked if the best buyer is the first 5-minute bar. It's the only up bar. The best seller is that last big red bar. The problem is the range is so wide right now, Daniel, your stop is ridiculous. Looks like they're going to push ES to a new high. Impressive. If someone thinks they have a trade, by all means, they should take it, right? Just remember, I trade very leveraged. I've got to wait till I get my perfect setup. Well, I don't know much about your trading buddy or how you enter trades. You got to remember, I trade very, very leveraged, right? All I care about is getting a good entry, and I don't like to trade when markets are um, at their highest amount of out of controlness, right? Where it's all one way. I've got to have a two-way market, or I don't get a trade. And I don't like it when one market's going down, the other when ES is going down, and NQ goes down and ES goes up. I hate that. It pits those two markets at diametric opposites, and that does not work very well for me. We are at R2 on ES at 27.2450. R2 on NQ is way up there at 66.32. Yeah, and you're right. Well, the tax thing, we figured that out on Monday. Ron in particular was like, well, the tax deal hasn't been priced in completely yet. I'm with you on that, Will. You and I are on the complete same page. I have no shorts in mind until we get interesting, Ron. I have no shorts in mind until I see some actual willingness to sell this thing. Like I said, I'm looking for longs, but I got to have a push down. Ron has a little short going on NQ. That made sense into the backside test of that low, right? That normally would be someplace I'd be shorting right in here, right? I just couldn't figure out whether you were arguing for going long at the high. Well, that's all I was trying to figure out. I was like, I'm definitely not going long at the high. Impressive move. The guys at the hedge fund just sent me a message saying we're turning it off for the day. We'll be back tomorrow. That's funny. Yeah, well, there's nothing for them to short. No, they're on the other side of the world. They just said there's just nothing to do. There's no way to short and there's no way to get long. What do you do? They're not willing to lose any money on the short side. And that attitude has kept them protected for many, many days now. So, and they're like, we don't want to buy it. Not for them, Daniel. They're buying 1,000 contracts, right? 2,000 contracts at a time. Not for them. They want, remember, their whole thing is low risk, high odds. They don't care. They don't think about how much money they can make. They think about how they have to explain the losses, right? So if you take a large loss on the third day up of a rally, you have to explain it to your bosses. How do you do that? On the other hand, if you short and it rips against you, right? How do you explain that? All in all, it's just total foobar either way, right? So they're like, forget about it. Oh, nice job. Plus 13. That was a great short, perfect trade, brother. Ron did exactly what he sold into his last best buyer, right? And he got 13 points down to the downside. Perfect trade. I'm just skipping the first hour. That's all I'm doing. Pretty sure I'll have some pretty good trades in here. Remember, we're also holding below the mid on NQ. That's a possible target. You got to actually get it to rotate down, but first, Ralph. Money, yes. Sure seems impervious to sellers right now. I see the dome getting slightly ever so thin. See how they're showing flashing 80, 57, 58 on the dome? Pretty thin on the bid side. Doesn't mean it goes down, but obviously in this case. Nope, Daniel, it's not. It's nothing. Guys, there's nothing here. I don't try to figure out the market second by second. I'll know it when I see it. And all I'm looking for is longs anyways. So I just don't recognize the environment. I protect my capital. I literally have my arms crossed and I have my domes locked. I literally cannot put in a trade right now, even if I wanted to, and I'm not going to unlock them until at 9:30. So I'm just looking. If we'll stay calm and focused and look and go, cool. Daniel's pointing out the point of control shifted lower on NQ. If you'll just watch, the market will tell you what it wants to do, and it'll tell you usually how it's going to do it, right? But ES so far has shown we're not below the last swing. Right now, we got to get below 27.19 just to have the word sell come into the term. We have to get underneath 27.24, right? We haven't made it underneath our last best buyer even. We made it one tick below, I think, on that early bar there, but we didn't get below Globex low, right? There's no rotation down, right? Even E and Q hasn't pushed into the gap fill, right? Like buyers are just they got it right now. Advancers are still at 1672. And all the volatility is gone from ES. Notice that change in character all of a sudden? And that's probably good for the longs would be my guess. Or it's good for longs generally when it's more stable environment. Shorts need the volatility to thrive. I don't know who's actually short here, but whoever that is. Remember, even in the best markets in the world, up 20 usually caps ES. Go back and look. Historically, up 15 to 20 caps ES for the day. So there's some outside days outside of that, but you can probably count them on your hands. There's not a lot of days where, especially from the highs, we can do more than 20 points. But maybe today's the day because they had an opportunity to take risk off and they couldn't or didn't. I'll forgive you on that, Ron. So far, I'd agree. Tick's gone negative. That's interesting. So we have ES above VWAP and NQ below VWAP, which is right at 6,600 right now. And I show that we have to get above 60, at least 61. We want to get above at least this last seller and backside test into this guy at a minimum, right? But ES is showing there's no sellers there, right? For whatever reason. So it's just rotation out of NQ and rotation into ES so far. Oh, and by the way, in this environment, guys, if you get bad news, like bad econ data, bad news come out, it's almost always buyable in this environment. Wow. Note that for 20 minutes now, range is 2 points. Avoid chop. Three knocks on 26. 27, 26 specifically. Fourth knock at 27, 26. So if you're aggressive on the long side, I'm not, right? I'm just gonna have to wait till it does shows me something, but this is your backside test. We've closed above our last technically. Okay, so this is our actually our let me go through the data really quick. New high on ES, by the way. New high on ES. This is our last bestseller. Really, this is our last bestseller because everything looks equal because of the amount that was there at the open. So, yeah, this is your backside test into that trader. It's not fantastic, but this is your backside test. You can see we've still actually missed it by a tick. There's no way to get filled unless you front run it for a push back to the upside. I think the short, if I had to guess, right, from a risk reward standpoint, Daniel, I'd say the short has the highest risk reward. Problem is you have to risk getting your head blown off to take it, right? And if you think about it, the most likely answer is we pull back to some meaningful support level or do some back and filling, right? Even in a bull market, that happens where you're either going to burn time or you're going to burn price, one of the two, right? So why sit there and just go, well, but calling a top is very, very hard and not profitable usually, right? You know, we try to call a top on ES today, paid for it pretty handsomely, right? So the question is, can they find any? All we need is a push down, actually, realistically. So that'll probably come between London close and New York launch. Right. I'd agree. Anyways, guys, I'll be right back. I'm going to refill my coffee. Guys that were on YouTube, thank you for joining this morning. I appreciate it. If you liked it, if you can please hit the like button. We'll be back tomorrow morning. Really helps with the customer service and just takes a second for you to do it. Really, really helps me out getting things done with YouTube. What else was I going to say? Trade smartly, right? It's a hard market when it goes straight up. It's tough on all traders. You don't want to lose your capital. It's the most important thing I can say, right? All the markets almost around the world are rallying. Don't let yourself get caught up in a bearish mentality or a bullish mentality. Stay balanced. Let the market come to you. Take your entries as they set up, one at a time, and roll from there. It's all you can do anyways, right? You don't want to smoke yourself in the process. So anyways, talk to you later, guys. Have a great day. Thank you for joining.